We're live.
Okay. Good afternoon. Welcome to what should be the final meeting of the 911 work group that has been focused on our 911 specialists, recruitment, training, retention, benefits, scheduling, retirement. We have covered the long range. Today's meeting, we are going to be reviewing the hopefully nearly final version of the proposed report, which will go to the governor and the General Assembly. And we will be reviewing, debating if there are debates, discussing, and then voting. So the meeting is scheduled from 3 to 5, depending on the amount of engagement in this room. Hopefully we will be more efficient than that. So let's start with introductions if we could. Senator Carrozza, why don't you kick us off? And we are live streaming. So we are on YouTube, and so to the degree that you all can keep your cameras on so folks know who's in the room and all that, that would be great. Senator Carrozza, please.
Senator Mary Beth Carrozza, proud to represent Maryland's Coast, Worcester, Wycomico, and Somerset counties, and proud to be part of the 911 Specialist Recruitment and Retention Work Group.
Excellent. Delia Riley.
Delegate Teresa Riley from Harford and Cecil County, District 35A, and very happy to be on this commission.
Thank you. Delia Woods.
Good afternoon, everyone. Delegate Jamila Woods from Legislative District 26 in Prince George's County, and I too am very happy to be a part of this commission.
Can I just say that these three legislators have been terrific partners. Sometimes legislators get appointed to commissions and work groups and they show up sometimes, but these guys have been really thoughtful and engaged. So I just want to say that publicly. Let's go around the room. Start with my staff and then Senator Carrozza's staff, and then we'll go to everyone else. So Courtney and Abril.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Courtney Spangler. I am Senator Kagan's Chief of Staff. Happy to see you.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Abril Hunter, and I am Senator Kagan's legislative aide.
Thank you. Molly.
Hello, everyone. I'm Molly O'Hara. I am Senator Carrozza's Annapolis Chief of Staff and Legislative Director. Happy to be here.
Yay. Okay. I'm going to do in order that I remember you coming into the room. So, Catherine. And if somebody could mute, I think we've got some background noise. Okay.
Good afternoon. My name is Catherine Call. I'm an emergency communications manager with Frederick County Emergency Communications.
Thank you for all you do. Cecilia.
Cecilia Warren, representing the 911 Board, and I am the Policy Director for Emergency Preparedness at Department of Disabilities. Thank you.
Thank you. Tania.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Tania Reddick. I am the 911 Director for the City of Baltimore. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And just the city lost a deputy mayor today, and the funeral was today. So I just want to pass along this group's condolences because we need all of our public safety leaders. Sharif.
Sharif Thomas, Operations Supervisor, Montgomery County 911, resident 911 Specialist.
Thank you. Stacy.
Good afternoon. I'm Stacy Norton. I'm the Human Resources Director with Worcester County Government.
Thank you. Randy.
Good afternoon. Randy Linthicum with MIMS, Deputy Director.
You want to spell out MIMS as you are so good at doing?
Yes, Maryland Institute for Emergency Medical Services Systems.
Thank you. Better you than me. Captain Stevenson.
Good afternoon, everyone. Captain Robert Stevenson, City of Bowie Police Department.
All right. Well, we're on title, Major.
Good afternoon, Major Tom Gregory, Maryland State Police Assistant Bureau Chief, SSB, and CIO, and also member of the 911 Board.
Yay. Nathan.
Hi, Nathan Cooney, HR Business Partner for Harford County, Maryland, and Primary Recruiter for the PSEP Center here in Harford County.
Okay. Shit, I'm going to do it wrong. Davin.
Davin Brownell, Legislative Assistant at Department of Legislative Services.
Thank you, Davin. Arnold, best for last. Heroic Arnold Aja.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Arnold Adja. I'm a policy analyst at the Department of Legislative Services and a proud staff of this work group.
Yes, thank you, thank you. So I don't know that I introduced myself. I'm Cheryl Kagan, very proud to be the senator for Gaithersburg and Rockville, and the chair of this work group. I just, for those who may not know, I'm sure I say this all the time, 3 people have died in my district when 911 has failed, and so I have been on the 911 journey for 11 years, and several of you have been on this journey with me. Dr. Christy Collins, the director of the 911 board, is traveling, and so she was unable to join us. But I have learned so much from folks who are in this Zoom and who are not, but who are watching YouTube or will hear about it afterwards. So grateful. Literally, this is life or death. And the backbone is our heroic 911 specialists, the courageous women and men under the headsets who save lives and property every day with their work. So I'd like to go to the report. Let's see, Arnold, do you want to put up the agenda? So we have done number 1, introductions and opening remarks. Number 2, we've got a draft letter for your review and approval, and then we will review and vote on the final report before we wrap up. Arnold, do you want to share the letter? And then if anyone has any questions, we have sent that out to everybody, correct?
Yes, I believe we have.
Okay, so in addition to sending it to the 10 members of the Maryland congressional delegation, our 2 senators and our 8 members of Congress, it is also addressed to the Senate Democratic and Republican and the House Democratic and Republican chairs, bipartisan bicameral chairs of the Next Gen 911 Congressional Caucus. And so it goes on to endorse federal legislation. We sent a similar letter earlier, and also encourages our folks to join the Next Gen Caucus. And Arnold, anything else you want to say about the letter?
We are encouraging our federal partners to reach out to the IRS and basically to double check on the change that needs to happen to make sure that what we are suggesting is correct. So basically there needs to be a change in the IRS code, but we want them to make sure, and so to communicate with the IRS to confirm that our view on the change is correct.
Okay, and could you scroll all the way down, please? And it's being sent.
It has
scroll. Okay, can you scroll? So it comes from this work group. Can you scroll all the way down, please? So we see who signs it. It has all of us. It is signed by legislators, and then CCs all of you on this work group. Senator Carozza, you have a question?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just wanted to ask Arnold, we know we're sending the letter, and then it's referenced in the report. Can you remind me, Arnold, where we reference I know it, as I understand it, it would be one of the appendixes, but we also reference the letter in the report. Can you remind me where that is in the report?
So it'll be in the recommendation, the LEOPS recommendation. I believe it's recommendation number 12.
Well, right. But did we also, I guess I was doing a reread, but I wasn't sure if I was rereading the letter or rereading the report. Is there a reference to the letter prior to the recommendation in the report?
Yes, there's a few references to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Senator Carozza, if you don't see it when we go through things for this report review, definitely flag it again, because we want to make sure we're thorough and capture both letters. So one letter already went out, Arnold, right, from the Joint Committee on Federal Relations, and that was approved at our last meeting. And then this would come from this group. Correct, Arnold?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So what's the pleasure of the group? Are we good with having a motion to send this letter, to approve and send this letter?
Motion to send the letter to the 911 caucus and members of the Maryland congressional delegation.
Thank you,
Second.
Senator Croza. Second from Delegate Woods. Any debate? Any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say no. All those abstaining say abstain. Okay, hearing none, that letter is approved unanimously. Arnold, you and David and whomever else can get that out the door with our blessing. Thank you. And now, as we see, let's see, we had Bryant Mitchell came and joined us. Bryant has been a great member of this group. You want to say a quick hi, and then we're going to go to the next thing on our agenda.
Hello, everyone. Sorry I'm a little late. I'm trying to spin up a backup center.
It's all good. It is actually 311 right now. So I think that's a lucky sign that that's when you're saying hello, because that's something we will be discussing. If there's nothing else, Arnold, why don't you pull up the meeting, the draft report? And colleagues on this work group, I'm going to try to calibrate, and I'm going to go quickly enough because I'm going to guess that many of you, most of you have already at least skimmed it, if not read it. But if you have questions, if I'm going too fast, please we'll stop. We'll take any questions. I want to make sure we're good. The other thing is that I want to make sure is I'm going to do what I did when I chaired the 311 work group, which is pause in chunks and see if there are any questions, concerns, or recommended edits. So if everybody is good with that, if anyone has any suggestions, if not, we will dive in. So the cover letter, Arnold, this has today's date. The report is due December 1. So just if there are any questions or concerns, we might want to change the date on the letter, on the cover letter and on the report. So if you just want to put a note on that, but let's go through it and see how we do. Because I don't think we're going to submit it to the governor at 5 o'clock, 5:30. I think we would wait, and we've got 2 weeks. So any objections to possibly changing the date to closer to or on December 1st? I'm assuming that's not controversial. Scroll down. We thank all the people. The cover letter talks about the vacancy rate of our 911 specialists, the importance to their work, the fact that there is huge burnout, and that we have had a great group working on these issues. Questions or concerns, anything about the cover letter? I will just say that it was sent as "Dear ladies and gentlemen" as the salutation. I kind of hate that. So now the salutation, depending on what version you saw, it now says "Dear Governor Moore, President Ferguson, Speaker Jones, and members." So members of the General Assembly.
Chair Kagan, just I think just want to be intentional about it. It seems like we made a conscious decision to highlight the 14.5% vacancy rate. So I assume since it's, I think the only statistic that we're highlighting, we kind of have checked and double checked, and that was based on, as I understand it, was that based on our survey that we came up with that number?
Yes, so we do go deeper into it. So this is just a teaser, and then we have the executive summary, which has more details, and then the full report, which has even more details on the source.
And my only point is in raising it in the letter is, as I understand it, that 14.5% is probably conservative, a conservative percentage. Do we want to note that just because, they're, I don't want to minimize the challenges we have. So when I saw the number and I saw it was the only statistic, I thought, okay, number one, we obviously need to make sure we're right. And if it's based on just our survey, which means it probably, if it was more comprehensive, that number might be higher, which obviously then underscores the need for action on our recommendations. So that's why I raised it.
So we did hear from all 24. It took a little bit of prodding, but we did get from all 24. Let me ask members of the 911 board. Sharif or Catherine or Cecilia, Anybody have thoughts about what number we use? And I think I'm leaving someone out too. Are you okay with 14.5, or we can say an estimated, or any thoughts on that?
I apologize. I'm not really 100% sure on the number. I think it is around that percent, but I'm not 100% sure.
Okay.
I think
Cecilia,
the-
do you have
The
suggestions?
data, well,
Yeah.
the data that we do have indicates 14.5 as a consistent vacancy rate. So I think it's a safe, a safe number to use
Okay.
that can be supported.
Okay. Thank you both. Senator Crowe, are you okay with that then?
That's fine.
Okay, moving on. So any other questions about the letter? Okay, moving on. So we've got some blank pages. We've got the roster, membership roster, along with your titles. If you have any changes, if your name is misspelled or your title is wrong, please shout out or email us right away. We think the staff did a great job on that. Scroll. And the table of contents and appendices, which may or may not have been on the version that you saw, but that has been added. The executive summary lays out the overview of the work of that this group has done and highlights each of the 3 subcommittees. So the challenges in recruitment and retention, the challenges of scheduling and as a retention, as well as compensation, that's a challenge. And then obviously support, recognition, and then retirement, making sure that we are, I hate the word incentivizing, but I'll use it for the moment, encouraging our 911 specialists to stay on the job as long as they possibly can, and then retire with dignity and a parting gift here. Moving on.
Sorry, Madam Chair. This is
Please.
one of the instances where we do refer to that
Thank you.
LEOPS letter in here
Right.
as well.
The 2 letters, right?
Yeah.
Which I think when I was reading this last night, I couldn't remember where it was. And I like the fact in the executive summary, we mentioned the 2 letters, because to me, that's kind of a reminder for us on what the follow-up for us will be after we send them.
Yes, yes. And reminder with LEOPS, just a reminder to try not to use acronyms for anyone watching who's not expert at all this stuff. So that's the law enforcement officer's pension system. Okay, so chapter 1 lays out the challenge of supporting our first responders, our 911 specialists, and how we can fill those vacancies and keep them mentally and physically healthy, keep them on the job. And so some of this is redundant. It goes into the 14.5% vacancy rate in paragraph 3. So that's where it is there. And then scrolling, there are a bunch of bullets. And we did, Arnold handled the whole survey to our 24 911 centers in each of the counties. Scroll, please. Okay, so that's chapter 1. Any questions or concerns about chapter 1? Hearing none. Chapter 2, background. Again, this is the counties run our 911 centers. There is a state 911 board that helps fund some parts of our 24 911 centers, but it tends to be the hardware and software and training, and the personnel costs are paid by the counties. That's the big chunks, and it goes in there, and we let our counties make their own decisions on many aspects. But there is also oversight. Each 911 center is inspected once a year. Okay. The role, it goes out how hard it is. You have to be a multitasker. You have to put up with extreme stress. You never know what's coming at you when you answer a call. And you've got to be able to listen, discern what's going on the other end of the line, and then be able to make quick decisions. Everything from CPR to guidance of something that's happening and listening to the unspoken words. Senator Croza.
I wouldn't just, I always kind of take an approach that if you weren't living and following 911 issues the way this group is, that try to take a step back if you were new to it altogether. And in the first paragraph, that's pretty much where that is your opening, where you're educating on 911 in the state of Maryland. And my only question is, because, when I think about how our constituents sometimes ask us questions, there's a lot of the emergencies obviously require police and fire assistance. So in some people's minds, when we say that Maryland operates a decentralized 911 system consisting of the 24 public safety answering points that serve the state's 23 counties and Baltimore City. In some cases, we know, and we mentioned that there's different approaches to each jurisdiction, but is it worth having a line that somehow there's a connection between the PSAPs and law enforcement and fire assistance? I'm just thinking if you were trying to figure out, when your calls go in, is that who's answering the call, and then how is
Senator, what do you think about line 4, where it says PSAPs manage all aspects of the emergency response, including receiving calls, dispatching services for police, fire, and paramedics?
Does that cover it all?
Does that do what you think? And coordinating assistance?
And I would ask the 911 specialist on the virtual meeting, does that cover the services? I think I'm just trying to make it real for someone, like, oh.
Okay. So Catherine, do you want to?
I was just going to say that a lot of that is in the next section, 911 specialist role. I believe, where we're kind of making that connection between their work and then the, other public safety.
Good call. So Sharif?
Yes. So that one part where it's police, fire, paramedics, is there a way we could change paramedics to emergency medical services? And I only say that is because paramedics are only ALS providers. There's also BLS providers, which is advanced life support, versus basic life support, which are EMTs. And I think emergency medical services covers both of them, instead of saying paramedics, which I feel as though covers on the one side. And I only say that because I am also an EMT. I volunteer in Prince George's County, so I feel like it kind of leaves them out.
So Senator Croza, can we keep going and see and not make any additions based on Delegate Riley's comments? And it sounds like it will be more complicated and more of a word salad if we do it later. Can we take a look and then we can come back? Thank you, Sharif. Okay, so 911 specialist role goes on about the challenges and their role in dispatching, alertness, geography, emergency services role, blah, blah. So Arnold, maybe you can, rather than editing on the fly, maybe you can figure out whether there's a place that we can specifically list it if we don't have another place. Let's keep scrolling. So mandatory overtime, burnout, mental health challenges, all of that. And we talk about how we can support them with retention. The biggest feedback oops, it's moving around, sorry. Let's see. So sleep schedules, health and retention, rotating shifts, circadian rhythm, all of that. The PSAPs, the 911 centers, do scheduling differently. Again, going back to each of them independently operate. There's some that work with unions and they have guarantees. We're going to cover later some of the other benefits that are available in some counties and not others. And so there are recommendations later in the report that say, oh, they do this in this county. We thought that was great. And so, others might want to look at it. But for the most part, we stayed away from mandates on any counties because we want them to have the lesson of what we learned from their colleagues, but not a mandate. And Arnold, you should totally pop in anytime you want. Biggest recruitment and retention challenge is really, it's been everything, and there's a chart later. So let's go. So pay, benefits, scheduling, stress. There were a lot of things that we uncovered, none of which I think surprised us. So highlighting the Next Gen 911 Commission that I chaired for 4 years, it talks about what we accomplished, which was awesome, thanks to support from many of you. So let's scroll through that. Other legislation that we've passed. Scroll. And it goes through each of the years, and many members of this work group read through those reports. So you'll see that the law enforcement officers' pension system, we did try to pass something, but that was not enacted because we need Congress to take action first. And then we will talk about retirement incentive benefits. At the bottom of that page, we'll talk about that later. It passed the Senate unanimously, but did not pass the House. So any questions on Chapter 2? So I made a note about, for Senator Carrozza, whether we want to put that. Okay, we're on Chapter 3 now, hearing nothing.
And just to clarify the point I was trying to make, I think part of it was in trying to understand the 911 system statewide, trying to have some clarification of what the relationships are between the 911, the public safety answering points, and the services they're calling upon. So in some cases, there's different setups, I know, on where the 911 specialists, where they actually are housed or working out of. So I was just trying to make a connection between, I guess, the public safety answering points and what those relationships are with law enforcement, fire, EMS. So, so maybe it might have been more of a clarification if we don't think it's necessary, but it took me a while just to being part of this group and listening to the 911 specialists and going on site to try to figure out, okay, like we're at the Ocean City Police Department, we're at the public safety building, but here's the 911 specialist, and yet down the hall is the police, and so, just, from a standpoint of how public safety entities interact with each other, that's where I was going. Not so much a mention of police, fire, and emergency medical services, but I was trying to get to those relationships.
Okay, thank you, Senator. Any other comments on Chapter 2? Okay, Chapter 3 reviews the process that this work group used. We started last December, which is astonishing. We established 3 work groups. Scroll through. We had meetings, brought in experts, and learned from them, including from NENA, the National Emergency Numbers Association. We brought in a mental health counselor. We brought in Maryland Association of Counties and others, and have learned from each of those and others. Go ahead, Arnold. Arnold or David? Okay, it's got the dates of our meetings and what we accomplished at each of those meetings so as to give the governor and the General Assembly an idea of the work that we did. And that goes for a few pages going on. Okay, that's chapter 3. Any questions, suggestions, feedback on chapter 3? So really, that's just the overview of our process. I don't think there's a lot that's okay. Hearing nothing. Chapter 4, this is the meat of it here, recommendations and best practices. So again, most of this is not a mandate. It's just FYI, you're doing great, but if you want to do better, here's what some others have done. So let's scroll through the recommendations. So we start with passage of federal legislation. Maryland has reclassified our 911 specialists as first responders, and there are benefits and advantages that gives them. It's also, some of it is also respect and understanding of the burdens of their job, but there are actually specific benefits that they can get only if the feds make that change. So Maryland has done it. We've done what we could do, and hence the letter. Scrolling down, that was recommendation number 1. Number 2, we want to get the word out about being a 911 specialist as a great career path. And so there are websites, there are billboards, there are grants that some counties have used. We really want to get that out, and even high school and community colleges. And I think we go into that a little further. Number 3 recommendation is high schools. In Baltimore City, there are 2 partnerships. Others, we just have to make sure that there is confidentiality agreements that can be signed. And we learned from Career Institute in Michigan. So we just want to make sure if we're bringing high school students in, they can't see or learn about and then share information about something that happened in their neighborhood or something. Moving on, please. Partner with number 4, community colleges. Again, there was a class in Montgomery County at Montgomery College. Other counties have also tried it. I would love to see if other community colleges would step up on that, because I think it just educates people and encourages them to think about this as a career. So Senator and delegates, please encourage the community colleges in your jurisdictions, in your counties to think about that. Recommendation number 5, an apprenticeship program. Our state and the blueprint has a lot of recommendations on creating apprenticeships. This is a great opportunity. And so it goes into some of that. Number 6, and I will tell you that former Secretary Paul Montero, who did a great job launching the Department of Service and Civic Innovation, DSCI, and managing the first 3 cohorts. He just called me today, and we think that's an opportunity perhaps for a 911 center to take a service year participant and give them the experience in appropriate ways. And so we encourage that exploration. Number 7, we think that PSAPs, our 911 center, should use social media more. We think that that's a great way of finding young people where they're at. And some counties are doing that effectively, some not so much. So that is recommendation 7, is to up the game. Recommendation number 8 is the Maryland 911 Board has a careers page. We want to make sure that all counties are using it so that anyone who gets to that page can be aware of something in their own backyard. And then we hope that the 911 Board will help push that out, and so would others. Number 9, and again, interrupt me if I'm going too fast on this. The job centers are around the state. We want to make sure that they know about 911 specialists as a great career path with vacancies now. In a tight job market, there are people who would never have thought about this. So we want to make sure we're reaching out to them. And Arnold, I want to make sure that on this and on some of them, who specifically is going to take number 9 and make sure that the American Job Centers are aware of this. So maybe that's something that we want to like specifically, we're going to ask, you know, on behalf of this commission, this work group, we want to make sure that the Department of, I assume it's the Department of Labor, maybe it's the Department of Commerce. Senator Croza, do you know?
Well, I'm glad you said it on that recommendation, because I didn't know if we were going back on a couple, because on the apprenticeship program, on that recommendation number 5, rather than put it all on the PSAPs, I was thinking that we should also, you know, I don't know if direct is too strong, but basically, you know, maybe prompt the Maryland Department of
Encourage.
Labor, the Maryland Department of Labor could actually engage with the PSAP. So there's some support for the PSAPs, because it is the Maryland Department of Labor that are the experts on the apprenticeship programs.
Okay.
So I was trying to, when I saw and I did, and Arnold, I was trying to get back. I have asked Chris McClarion at the Maryland Department of Labor to specifically look at our apprenticeship language, because I thought it could be strengthened to have a little bit more of a role with the Maryland Department of Labor, which I think Chair Kagan is the same point.
Okay. So Arnold, maybe we can just add a sentence or two, a sentence on each of those, but let's not have it hanging out there and then nothing happens. I want to make sure this isn't one of those reports that says a lot of nice things, but not everybody sees it or reads it or follows it. So let's scroll back to the American Job Centers, I think. So number 5 on apprenticeships, and then where are we? Number 9 for the American Job Centers. Okay, so number 10, the driver's license. So Cecilia Warren, who's with the Department of Disabilities and on the 911 board, challenged us to think about whether a 911 specialist has to have a driver's license to do their job. And so this encourages PSAPs to think about it. 20 of the 24 currently require it, so 4 don't, obviously the math. And so we just wonder whether that's always necessary, as long as they pledge that they can get to work. So maybe a partner, friend, Lyft, taxi cab, whatever is how they could get to work and do so safely without needing a driver's license. So that is number 10. Moving on, please. Grant opportunities, number 11. So we passed a bill that enabled telephone CPR training. We want to make sure that there is an opportunity for every county to apply for that funding. Counties have tight budgets and the money is there, the funding is there, it's affordable, and it doubles. I think I'm going from memory here. I think it doubled the mortality, the survivor rate after a heart attack, when a 911 specialist can effectively and quickly coach someone on performing CPR. So it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 counties have gotten these grants, but that means 19 others haven't. So kudos to Anne Arundel, Baltimore County, Charles County, Frederick, and Worcester. So yay, Stacy. But the others could step up and get that money and save lives. That's number 11. Pausing. Okay, number 12.
Madam Chair, just do you want us, if we have a question or a suggestion on a recommendation, if we quickly pass it by, to go back to it, or are you doing
that? At this point, we're almost done. So why don't we go the first pass and then go back, if that's all right? Okay. Number 12 talks about the law enforcement officers pension system. And again, that's the letter, which we've already referenced and reviewed and approved. Number 13 is the tax credit for retirement. And again, I referenced this, and it would be a $15,000 tax credit for the first to allow them to reduce their state income tax burden on up to $15,000 of their annual retirement income. That's 13. And Senator Carrozza, if you want to say more about that after we go through all of these. Number 14 is encouraging and endorsing the use of a statewide 311 system as a way of lightening the load on our 911 centers and therefore reducing the stress on our 911 specialists because the volume of calls is insane. And for residents who are trying to get through on 911 on the worst day of their lives when they need help, when there are long delays, or God forbid, voicemail, which I think would be ridiculous if your house is on fire or your baby isn't breathing. If we can offload calls about, a pothole or a downed tree or my trash didn't get picked up or something, we can offload that using AI, artificial intelligence, to a statewide 311. And so that is endorsing that as a way of supporting our 911 centers. Scroll down, please. And then we have a session, so let's pause with the recommendations before we get to best practices. So Senator Carosa, why don't you go ahead?
Thank you. Okay. I was trying to make notes as we were quickly going along. I think number 3, the partner with high schools. I was going to recommend that we also have a reference or to homeschoolers. And the reason I say that is there's a whole pool of, there's homeschool associations that you can reach people through those associations to make them aware of 911 career. And right now, I don't think, when we talk about the partnerships with the high schools, I think if we can reach this other population, it might expand the pool of possible 911 specialists for the future.
I think that's a good idea. Does anyone object? Thank you, Senator Cruz. I think that's really smart. So Arnold, maybe partner with high schools and homeschoolers or homeschool organizations. Senator Cruz, what wording makes sense to you?
I think homeschool organizations, because we're talking high schools as a
an entity.
Right.
Okay.
Chair?
Yes, please.
I have a Word document that I can make changes to.
Yep.
In case we're making any substantive changes, we want to make sure that we're voting on a document that has those changes on there.
I'm good with that. So I trust you, Arnold, that you're going to do it thoroughly, effectively, and all that. And we can, so let's stay in this document and not have you go bouncing back and forth, because I think that. So is everybody okay with, okay. And homeschool organizations. Okay, thank you for that, Senator Croza.
I think on number 5, we already mentioned, but
we did.
Okay, the Maryland Department of Labor. Okay. Yep. And then we already did the same thing on the job centers.
Correct, number 9.
Okay. On recommendation number 12, and we highlight, we did some education in the report on the issue of fairness with the law enforcement pension system, that we have other public safety officials who have access to the law enforcement pension system, but not our 911 specialists. And we have in the report, that when we tried to introduce legislation at the state level, we ran into the roadblock at the federal level, which is why we are sending the letter to the federal level. And so I'm fine with the way this is teed up. What I would like to recommend, I would like to strengthen the next line says the work group recommends further advocacy for this change by state and local leaders. I don't know whether we can be more specific or how that we can strengthen that, because to me, I don't want this to be viewed as, especially those 911 specialists who I know that this is an important issue, as retirement is an incentive for longevity, that if there's, in addition to sending a letter, if there's additional follow-up that we can note rather than just further advocacy. And so I'm struggling a little bit, I'm thinking from the standpoint of Chair Kagan and, as chair of this work group and of the Next Generation 911 Commission, using those roles, using maybe our own leadership in the Maryland General Assembly. Would some of the 911 specialist associations or even police and police and sheriff's association, with some of these, in other words, almost building a coalition support for this.
So Denise Riley, I think, joined us. Denise, do you want to say anything about your efforts after you introduce yourself? Anything on the federal level?
Yes, I apologize for being late. My flight was delayed.
Imagine that in the middle of a shutdown. Yes. So introduce yourself first, please, so everybody knows this meeting is being live streamed.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm Denise Riley. I'm Director of Legislation and Policy for the American Federation of Teachers in Maryland. Yes, we have been, as I've said before, that we have been trying to get members of Congress, the departments, the IRS to change the regulations. These regulations have been sitting there, not adopted and not discarded for the last going on 10 years. So, as I've said, I've petitioned the IRS, I've petitioned, and this year I petitioned DOJ to drop the regulations on the basis that it was, interfering with state policy. So I have not heard back from anyone, and I do know that members of Congress have tried to do things, but during the Biden administration, they said they were trying to look at them, but we never received any information back, and we have not gotten anything back this year either.
Other thoughts?
So I appreciate those efforts, and I think where I'm going with this is I truly believe for this change to occur at the federal level, it's going to take a coalition of support, and it's going to take the different associations that support 911 specialists. I guess I'm even thinking the other public safety organizations, sisters and brothers, whether it's police chiefs, sheriffs, FOP, firefighters, almost, we have strength in numbers, and, public safety officials tend to support each other in other disciplines. And so to me, this letter was necessary, but I think that the follow-up is absolutely essential.
Okay.
And
so Senator Croza, I wanna try to move on here. Here's what I think. I think sending 2 letters is more than we have ever done. And right now there are bigger fish to fry, just literally, if planes aren't flying and people aren't being paid. And I mean, I think there are challenges. I am so committed to this, and I think we can just, Arnold, maybe just add sort of any other ideas, like come up with something. Anyone on this Zoom, anyone who wants to do anything to poke. And Senator Croza, you and I have talked about how Congress member Andy Harris, since he's in the majority, and you're friends with him and others are, if we can encourage him to see what he can do, let's see what we can do through our personal relationships and all that. But I don't know that we want to start being prescriptive in this report of anything else in particular, unless, Arnold, David, what do you think?
And I'm sorry if I wasn't clear. I wasn't pushing for another letter or something immediate. I think it was more for this report. When we say further advocacy for this change, that's a little vague. If there's a way to strengthen it and even maybe allude to a coalition of support, since public safety disciplines tend to support each other. Just, I was just looking to not do anything immediate right now because we sent the letters, but to kind of have a strategy of, how we can build on those letters after this report is submitted.
Major Gregory, Captain Stevenson, do you want to speak to that? Because sometimes public safety services are aligned and allied, and sometimes not so much. They're in their own wheelhouse and not looking to fight other battles. Major Gregory, is there something you want to add?
No, I don't really have anything to add. I mean, I agree with the coalition portion. Am I missing something else? That's kind of what I was hearing.
Yeah. Captain Stevenson, anything you would add?
No, ma'am. Nothing that I can think of at this time, no.
Okay. So let's put a pin in that. Arnold and David, anything you want to add? Specific ideas, language, anything you think that would address Senator Carrozza's idea?
We can work with Senator Carrozza on making that sentence stronger and
I thank you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you, Senator Carrozza. Okay, back to the report, please.
And then I wanted to talk a little
Hold
bit.
on, Courtney, do you want to say what you've got? Okay, never mind.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
yes, I would just insert as a simple way to build on this, the work group recommends further advocacy, and then you can insert and building a coalition of support for this change by state and local leaders.
So
That
Arnold, you can
transfer it.
think about that or yeah. Okay, thank you, Courtney.
Yeah.
Okay, scrolling on. Senator Carrozza, did you have anything else among the recommendations so far?
Yes, I wanted to talk about recommendation 13, where
Yep.
terrific groundwork has been laid on moving forward with a income tax subtraction that would be $15,000 in line with the other public safety officials who currently benefit from that $15,000 tax subtraction modification, and allowing our retired 911 specialists to subtract the same way other disciplines can. So I know that thanks to Chair Kagan's leadership, the bill almost made it over the finish line last session. I think by this work group strongly endorsing it, by taking early action, by pre-filing the bill, it positions it so that we could move on this early in the session. So I think that is one that I would think that this work group would be engaged once we have a bill hearing date and we can move forward on that. So I also see recommendation 13 as not just a recommendation that we're supporting it, but for this work group to be engaged in the actual passage of that legislation.
So I'm not familiar with the idea of a work group endorsing, like submitting testimony or something, but I think the idea.
Individuals?
Yeah, the individuals, I think
Sure.
we would love to have them written or in
Mhm.
person or whatever testimony, I think would be great.
Right. So I guess, from the standpoint of the members of this work group in their individual positions and their leadership positions are in the strongest position to advocate for this change. So, again, part of my comments, Chair Kagan and members, are once you do a report, you don't want that report to sit on a shelf. You really want to know, okay, we took a very thoughtful approach to our recommendations, but these recommendations now will require follow-up and work on our part.
Fair. Thank you. All right, Arnold, that was recommendation number 13. And then I think we had done 14, if you scroll. Okay, now it's best practices. So let me just pause. Did anyone else have comments, suggestion, feedback, either based on what Senator Carrozza said or based on what the proposed draft final report said? Okay, hearing none. Okay, best practices. These are not mandates. These are cool things that we've learned about, and people who had them in their 911 centers love them or hate them. I don't remember if they're hate things or things they dislike. So let's just go through. So shift bidding often happened with unionized 911 centers, but they got to pick. Yes, I want the overnight hours. Yes, I want longer shifts, but fewer days and all that. That's what works well for me or my body clock or my family. Advanced vacation planning seemed like a cool idea to us. Up to a year in advance, I want to make sure that I can go to my niece's wedding or my son's college graduation, and I don't want to be called in for overtime or anything. I am snagging that week and getting a guarantee, and that just seemed respectful. Number 3, on-call duty. There were people who, in some counties, that we might need you, and so you stand at the ready, and so you can't go and see a movie or go take a big hike far away or leave town for the day because you might get called in. And we think that that's something that counties should consider compensating people because they got to stay local by their phone and be ready to get in quickly. Number 4, more and more counties are starting either recruitment or retention bonuses after they've been here for X period of time. So 5 years or longer, shorter, blah, blah, blah. We really care about you. We want you to stay and we appreciate you. So we're going to give you a bonus. Number 5, people who are certified training officers do their regular job as a 911 specialist, and they have the responsibility of training the next generation of specialists. We think that they should be paid more for that extra responsibility, acknowledging them. Number 6, peer support teams. We want to make sure that 911 specialists, after a hard call, after a hard shift, have people, it almost reminds me of AA or something, Alcoholics Anonymous, when you've got a sponsor. There's someone that you could call and say, man, that was tough. Help me through this. And being able to talk it through and get some wisdom and emotional support from someone who's been through it. Number 7, recognition and appreciation. These 911 specialists are often invisible, and yet there were some 911 centers who did a great job of reserved parking space or putting up an award, a medal, Joe Smith birthed a baby, and that had something on the wall. I mean, all the different ways that we can say thank you. So anything that we can do to make sure that people feel valued and seen. Number 8, we heard about restrooms, relaxation rooms. We heard about exercise equipment. And number 8 is about a dedicated lactation room because a lot of our 911 specialists are young women. We want them to feel like they can be there after delivering and support their newborns. Senator Croza.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On number 8, I didn't know if there was a way to broaden that to, make it, exercise, peaceful reading space, lactate, in other words, broaden it so it wasn't just one activity. And because I just think that it would probably be more appealing if it was a little bit broader.
I actually kind of agree, and in my intro, I actually included all those. Arnold, I wonder if we could have a number 9 that would talk about other ways of caring for a 911 specialist, such as a quiet room, quiet break room, or access to a very nearby gym.
I mean, could it be a combined recommendation and include all of those? Yeah, I would do it combined.
Okay. I leave it to the excellent folks at DLS unless others have thoughts. I will tell you there was a PSAP, a 911 center there are several that have standing desks. There are folks that have treadmill desks so they can be walking and doing cardio. Because man, when you are sitting on your tush, answering calls, stressful calls for hours and hours and hours, not good for your cardio, not good for your weight or your diabetes or your anything, and you're probably eating snack foods. So, Arnold, are you okay with either expanding number 8 or adding something else?
Yes, sure. We can incorporate, I think quiet room or a break room, a gym. We'll figure it out.
Okay. Delegate Woods, please.
I just wanted to caution us in doing that. I think it's an excellent idea. My concern is we don't want to make it something that people are going to feel like is overwhelming, because there's certainly a difference between a lactation room and a quiet room. Some of those rooms, i.e. a lactation room, is going to require a place that is going to have privacy.
Yes.
I don't want it to be, I want us to be, I think it's extremely necessary, but that we need to word it in such a way that people won't say this is impossible to do to meet all of these requests.
Agreed. Can you go back, Arnold, to what we called this section? So we called this best practices. So this is not a mandate. This isn't you have to do this. This is just, here's what we learned that's happening in some counties. And maybe you can do this one, but not that one. Or does that work? Is that title okay, a best practice?
I mean, I think the title I think the whole idea is perfect. I just don't want anybody to throw out the baby with the bathwater because they feel like there are way too many expectations.
Okay. Well said. Okay, so Arnold, again, we're just saying here's what we've learned, and in some places they have this, or this, and just, PSAPs or 911 centers might be able to consider one or more of these. Does that work, Senator, Delegate?
Yes.
Okay. All right, going back now, we're at the appendices. Does anyone else have anything else on best practices? Any other comments, suggestions? Does anything seem like it's missing? Okay, thank you. Appendices. All right, the first one is the survey that we sent out to our counties. Sorry, go back up, please. Oh, and so we divided them into large counties, medium, and small. And we have our vacancy rates, Senator Carrozza, and the ideas of large, medium, and small as to the various vacancy rate. And this was as of August 1st of 2025, it was the 14.5. But you'll see that the large ones only had, on that date, 11.7%. The medium had the highest at 18.8%, and the small 12.6. So, Arnold, I wonder if when going back to Senator Carrozza's question, where we use 14.5, not in the cover letter necessarily, because I think that's so introductory, but maybe further up, we might want to say see appendix number 1 or something, and like so that we're not just saying it, we've got the data. Does anyone object to that? Senator Carrozza, does that answer your concern that then we're sending them to where the data is?
Sure.
Okay. All right, let's go down, please. And then we've got all the things, the years of service, the salaries, all that, and why they leave. Go up, please. Why they leave, Arnold. I think I had talked about. I think we should put highest to lowest. So rather than having them, it looks like it's alphabetical. Is that magical? Can we put highest to lowest? Reason specialists leave. So it's work environment / culture, then it's burnout, no, then it's scheduling, then it's burnout, then it's pay, and then it's lack of recognition. Can we flip that? Does anyone, if DLS has a problem with it, then leave it the way it is, but I think high to low is intuitive and makes sense. Any objections from others? Okay. And application requirements, which is important. Artificial intelligence, no one is using them yet. No one is using it yet. And Cecilia, I know that that's something the board and you have been thinking about as a pre-screen. So far, not happening. Unionization, 9 are, 15 are not. Scroll down, please. Wellness amenities. So here are the employee lounge and wellness room, Delegate Woods, in-house fitness room, quiet room, treadmill, under-desk walking pad. So interesting, lactation room isn't in here. Is there? But we did find that it existed in at least one PSAP, right, Arnold?
Yes, that's correct.
Why don't we add that here in this appendix? It seems like it's missing when we have it as recommendation, best practices number 8. Let's make sure that we have that. Is that okay?
Yes, that works.
Okay. Other wellness. So okay, Delegate Riley, please.
Yeah, I wasn't going to say anything, but number 8, the lactation room, is the only one that I don't necessarily 100% agree. I think we've done, everyone on here has done an excellent job, but we're pointing out for the most of the report, we're pointing out how stressful the job is. So we want to, we're encouraging them for more pay. We're encouraging them for retirement. We're encouraging them for, just all these wonderful things. But then you're saying, okay, well, then bring the child to work, which adds that in itself is very stressful. So you're putting the two together. I don't know that, it would be a good, and I do agree with Delegate Woods. If we're leaving it in there, that's why I didn't say anything. If we leaving it in there, just keep it, minimal. Don't add all the other stuff, or add the other stuff and take that out. I don't know. Apparently, there is a jurisdiction that does it, but I think in my opinion, I think it takes away of the importance and the stressfulness of the job.
Okay. Delegate Woods, is your comment or question in the same area, or should I first?
Yes.
Okay. Delegate Woods, go ahead.
Because Delegate Raleigh said something that kind of threw me off. I'm going to make sure I'm clear. Lactation room does not necessarily mean a mother is bringing the child to work, does it?
It does not. It could be that they're pumping for use later.
Okay, that's what I wanted to clarify. Yes.
As someone who has not lactated in her life, I'm deferring to other people, women and men people who can answer that better.
Yeah. So I work for DC government.
Sorry, hold on. Delegate Woods first, then Senator Delegate Riley.
No, I was just going to say, I work for DC government and we have lactation rooms. No one brings their children to work, but we have many mothers who go into the lactation room to pump milk so that they can take home to their family, to the child. So I just wanted that was my impression, and I wanted to make sure I was clear.
Thank you so much. Delegate Riley, does that make sense? Are you copacetic now?
Yes, thank you, Delegate Woods, because that does help me out. And I did nurse, and I understand that, when you're out after you're finished and you go out, a month later, you still got issues and you need room. So thank you for clarifying that. So maybe a little bit more of a clarification as other people that read it. I don't know how you would put that, not necessarily nursing mothers that are currently nursing, but lactation is for those moms that are currently.
They're nursing tonight, not necessarily on the shift.
Not on the job nursing.
Yeah, I don't know that we want to tell people who can and can't and what they can and can't. I think that's going to be up to the mom and the 911 center director.
But it does make me more comfortable because I had totally forgotten about that. But thank you.
Sure. Thank you. Senator Croza?
Just to go back, I think, to what the kind of the revised recommendation would be, if we kind of do it more in a kind of a general way for that recommendation and mention it along with others, and that these are just options, no mandates. Therefore, it's just on a menu, and it's not screaming out for attention. It's a menu option.
I think that's fine. Does anyone object to that? So we talked about break room or quiet room, gym equipment, and lactation. I think we can, I like your word, Senator Croza, sort of a menu of option, just a list. Arnold and David, you good?
Yes, sort of like a private space, basically, to decompress.
Yeah. But the private room, well, again, I don't want to get too much in the weeds. Okay. Was there another hand up? Are we good to move on? And again, in that feedback thing, we're going to make sure we add lactation room, since we did get that and since we're referencing it. If you go up to the one page, would you go up? So I do want to, right there, wellness amenities. So treadmill, yes. I think we should do standing desk. Nearby, exercise equipment, and then lactation room, but in whatever order you guys like. It looks like it's alpha again. So if you would just make sure that we add all three of those. Okay. Nearby gym, accessible gym equipment, exercise equipment, standing desk, lactation room. Okay. Anyway, anything else on these best practices? We're still going. We might still have more. Nope. Okay. Any other comments on best practices, or can we go to Appendix 2? Okay. We had 3 subcommittees, and these are the members of those. La la la. Senator Croza, is there anything else you want to say about the recruitment, the retirement benefits subcommittee?
I think we covered it in the recommendations.
Okay. Thanks to everybody who was active on a subcommittee. It really helped us get here. Appendix 3, the congressional letter. So this has already been approved and sent. This went last month, October 7th. So this is just in there because the governor and members of the General Assembly might not have seen that. That's signed by the 4 legislators and CCing everyone else on this work group. Appendix 4 is the high school training plan, a model plan. This comes from Michigan, has some of the information, and has several pages of best practices. That is just putting it in one place. It's not saying this is the way. It's just a resource, and we're putting it there for anyone's use. Appendix 5 is the confidentiality agreement. Again, this comes from Michigan, and again, it's kind of a possible model. Anyone can do it the way they want, but it lays out okay, Senator Croza?
I'm just back on the training document. I just again, this is one where Chair Kagan, I think, and the legislators on the work group, we really do need to defer to our 911 specialists on this work group, because I wouldn't be able to review that to know if it's a good training model to use. And so since we are highlighting it in our report, and it's from another state, I just you know, I would guess I would be reassured if I knew that our 911 board members or 911 specialists in the work group had really kind of taken a look at it and are completely comfortable with it.
Thank you, Senator Croza. Let me toss it out to members of the work group who are on the 911 board. Did you have a chance to read it? Do you have thoughts, questions, suggestions, feedback? Did you like it? Okay, hearing nothing, I'm gonna take that as a thumbs up or an I didn't have time. Tell you what, you all have it in your inbox. If I could ask, especially our 911 specialists or and make sure, Arnold, if you could make sure Tamara Haney, who couldn't be with us today, Christy Collins, anyone who's on the 911 board or associated with the 911 board, in addition to Sharif and Cecilia and Catherine, and I always feel like I'm leaving one more person out. Is it Major Gregory?
Yes, I'm on the board as well.
Okay.
And I actually did not see this. So
Okay.
maybe it was on like the first email. I was sitting here scrolling through things, but I don't see it on the copy I have.
Okay, thank you. It was some of the appendices were added kind of later because it had to be incorporated into a PDF. So Arnold, maybe after this call, you could send either the whole thing or just that section. Just make sure that everybody is comfortable with it.
Sure. And I'd like to note it's not meant to be replicated. It was just sort of this is a state, this is what they do, and this is their training plan. So
yes. Okay. Okay, moving forward, please. So the confidentiality piece is Appendix 5. It's a one-pager, blah, blah, same thing. Appendix 6, allowable expenses from the Maryland 911 Board, the trust fund, and it's got the percentages and the caps where there are caps. And that's just a great resource for people to know what the counties can get money for from the state. I will also mention that at the last 2, maybe 3, but 2 911 board meetings, and board members here, feel free to correct me if I get this off. There has been a little bit of, I'm going to use the word alarm, but maybe concern, I'll dial it back a little bit, about the finances of the 911 board. There are a lot of demands, there are a lot of submissions, and, money is limited, it's finite. So, so this isn't all the time everywhere, but I mentioned telephone CPR. That's really affordable. So I stick with my hold on, go up a sec. Okay, all right, sorry. The line break, stop, right, go up again, sorry. There's a line break that doesn't quite work and is confusing.
We're gonna
make
check
that
with
clear?
Dr. Collins to see if we can get a better document.
Perfect. Okay, thank you. Okay, scrolling. Yeah, some of these don't line up right. Okay, yes. And then it goes into the review process, the appeals process. Okay, and this is a new document. Appendix 7. This is the LEOPS letter, the one we just approved in this meeting that is dated today. I assume that no one will object to if it has tomorrow's date, since tomorrow is more likely the day it'll go out. So, okay, so Arnold, David, if you want to change it to November 13th, since we approved it on the 12th. Denise, Riley, yes.
Yes, when will this letter be public?
Good question. Arnold, can we send the letter out separately to the group so we can start with advocacy or continue the advocacy after this goes out to the members of Congress?
Yes, the members will definitely receive a copy of the letter. But in terms of DLS, I don't think we can do that, but
okay. If everyone is going to be CC'd, is going to get a copy of this, Denise, I suspect if you ask any of us on this Zoom, any member of the work group, I suspect that it's not confidential. I suspect that after it goes to members of Congress that we could share that with you or anyone else. Okay. Is that inappropriate for me to say, Arnold? Are we good?
yes, definitely. You may
Okay.
share it once it's out.
Okay.
Okay, but it has not gone to the members of Congress yet.
It is tomorrow on the 13th. That's what I said. We're changing the date. It'll go on the 13th. Arnold is going to send it to the members of Congress. Does it go snail mail and email, Arnold?
We are sending it by snail mail, and we will try to get a point person in each member's office who engages in the 911 subject area.
Amazing. Thank you. I hope that's not you. I hope there is someone who is doing that for you because you've got your hands full. That would be amazing. And then at some point you will email it to all of us as well.
Sure.
Perfect. Any other questions on that letter? Moving on. Next appendix.
That's the
it.
end.
Okay. So that is the draft report. Senator Carrozza.
Okay, Madam Chair, you run an efficient meeting, and so I've been trying to keep up, and I went back over as you were going because I didn't know if we were stopping recommendation by recommendation. I batched a few. We covered almost all of them except we skipped over one.
Oh, tell me.
On number 11, which I know is one of your favorites, on the grant opportunities.
Yes.
And I'm all for this recommendation, but my question was, are there other grants to mention that maybe at the 911 level or federal grant opportunities? In other words, instead of just limiting it to grant opportunities of the Maryland 911 board, are there other resources that we should mention?
I'm okay with that. Arnold, if you want to add a clause from, grant opportunities from the 911 board and other, sort of not these words, but like, and anywhere else. And if you have specific language, anyone wants to shout that out, or Senator Carrozza, but I think that's fine. We can totally make it broader. I think
and maybe some of the members on this work group or the 911 board know that there's other opportunities at the federal level that we can mention. And again, question mark, I don't know, but in this challenging budget times at every level,
I think that's great. Arnold, David, you got that? You're good? Okay.
Yes.
And that was number 11. Any other comments on any of the other suggestions, recommendations, best practices? Okay, so here's what I'd like to do. I'm going to stop sharing screen, Arnold, if that's all right with you here. So here's what I'm going to do. I am going to go through my notes as to the changes that are going to be made. If I miss anything, call it out. If I didn't, then I would love to have a motion and then a second, and then we can debate, discuss, and vote. Is that okay for everybody? Any other questions before I do that? Comments, ideas, concerns? Okay, what I have is in chapter 2, somewhere Arnold's going to look into specifying our first responders, if that's appropriate and if it's not done somewhere else. In recommendations.
Madam Chair, I know you said you're going from the very start, and you mentioned the date change more general on what December 1st or whenever.
Yes.
On the membership roster, and again, it's just a question.
Go ahead.
But whether we should have our districts noted after our names.
I haven't seen that before. It doesn't bother me. I don't know whether DLS has thoughts about that or not. I'm indifferent. I'm okay either way. Arnold, David, thoughts on that? You can
David
check
would
with
know.
your hires up and see if it's allowed.
Yeah, I can look.
Okay. Delegate Riley, Delegate Woods, I assume you're okay with that if we get permission? Okay, I'm agnostic. I don't care. If it's allowed and it'll make Senator Carrozza happy, add them. If it's not allowed, I think we're good. Either way, thank you. She did reference the date change. Let's do that at the end. Okay, apprenticeship, the Department of Labor, that is number 5. On number 3, we're adding homeschool organization. I'm sorry, this is out of order. On number 9, the American Job Centers, we're going to ask the Department of Labor, if that's who it is, we're going to specifically encourage them to reach out to the American Job Centers. On recommendation number 12, where you may put in language about encouraging the creation of a coalition, or just basically everyone should reach out and help get this done. Recommendation number 13, encourage members as individuals, as members of this work group, to endorse the retirement legislation. No, best practices number 8. The lactation room, we're going to add the other, the quiet room, the exercise equipment, all the things. We're also going to add the standing desk and the treadmill desk and we already had treadmill. What did I say? The exercise equipment. Yeah, I don't. Exercise, gym equipment, quiet room, break room, anything like that, in addition to lactation. Number 11, the funding, not just from the 911 board, but from any other source, with an elegant way of saying that. And then the last thing is the date change. I don't think it should have today's date on it. It is due not later than December 1st. So we are clearly doing great, and we are ahead of schedule, which is exciting. I want to acknowledge that Thanksgiving is coming up. So December 1st is the Monday after Thanksgiving. There's a part of me that thinks that, yeah, so it should, in my opinion, either be way before Thanksgiving or immediately after on the 1st. So does anyone have any thoughts? Do we want to do like next Wednesday or Thursday to give everybody time, give everybody a week or 8 days to make it pretty and get the chart done up and make these little tweaks? Does that work? Delegate Woods, you look like you are wanting to say something. You're good. Okay, Senator
I'm good. I'm
Carrozza?
sorry.
No, you're good. Arnold and David, what do you have strong opinions about the date on the report and when we would want to release it?
No, we can hold it until December 1st if that's what you would like.
Okay, my recommendation, and I don't feel strongly about it, my recommendation is Senator Carrozza, did you have something? Your hand is up, but you walked away.
Yeah, I want to just ask, are we, I know you're debating on when to send the report.
The date. Yes.
Are we voting on this with the understanding that the changes we discussed are being
Yes.
made?
Yes. So here's okay, as I mentioned, I reviewed the changes that DLS is going to be making, and I didn't say pretty up the chart, so I'm going to add chart, prettier chart, for the funding, for what the 911 board. But I do think we've got time on all that. If we give DLS a week or 6 days and it's next Tuesday or something, Arnold, how long before do you all want to see a revised thing with these small changes? Is that helpful, or is that like reality? You're not going to have time to look at it. Stacy, I'm going to call on you because I haven't heard from you and you're so good at all this stuff. Do you want to see it again?
I would like to see it just for our records, but I
Okay.
would recommend we send it out before the Thanksgiving Day holidays.
Okay. Randy, Nathan, thoughts? You want to see it again?
Yeah, I think I'd like to see it again just to review. Just
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Randy, same?
Yeah, I'd like to.
Okay. So today's Wednesday. Arnold, if you're able, you tell me, are you able to get these small things done by, let's say, Friday, close of business?
Yeah,
Send it-
definitely.
Okay, send it out to the group as revised, and we'll call it, rather than draft watermark, we'll call it like pre-final or something. And let's do it by email. If you have anything that you see that you don't like, if there's something that was missed, but again, I think most of it is, fine tuning. I didn't hear any major substantive problems or concerns. So I think we can do that. And then if you get back to Arnold by, you tell me, if we send it out on Friday, Senator Croza, what do you think? Back any edits or suggestions, sign off by Monday, close of business?
Sure.
A whole weekend plus a whole workday? And then Tuesday or Wednesday, it can go out with that date on it.
So
Does that work, Arnold? Like a week from today, Wednesday morning, it goes, or Tuesday afternoon, whatever. Arnold is frozen. Oh, there.
No, I'm here.
Okay.
But we would, I guess we would go through a review process, so it may take a little bit of time after that, but
So here's my suggestion. When you send it out Friday, I think you should start the proofing and review process. Because
sure.
I'm going to assume that you guys are going to get it all right the first time. And if there's a comma that needs to be moved, the proofreader can get started on checking the comma. But I think, in my opinion, I think this is like 98% solid. And so I want to totally acknowledge all of these things. And I think, so does anyone object to that? Because our proofreaders are so busy proofing our bills.
So
I want
I
to
guess
try to give them time.
I think just it's a process question. So I think the revisions are pretty straightforward, but there were some additions and combinations. So I think that's what I was hearing from the members of the work group. Let's, just make sure that, hey, is this what we all heard? If that is turned right around and meaning that we know each member received the final report, when we send it back, do we send that back with yes, approved, and that's the vote?
I think that makes sense.
Because I'm comfortable with that. I just, I think all of us, we covered a lot today, and while they weren't, major revisions, there were some significant additions, I think.
Sure.
And but I think that would be trying to acknowledge the workload. If it comes back to us and we read it and it's more, we're not more, I mean, I'm not going to worry about proofing it at that point. I'm just reading it for the content changes.
Agreed.
And then we'll get back and say read and approved.
Okay. So acknowledging then, each of you is going to, whether you scrutinize, scan, or don't have time for any of it, we are going to ask you to vote. So reply with, approved, vote favorable or whatever. Ashley, I'm noticing you're in the room and I apologize. Can you just say a quick hi so it's on the record that you were here too?
Hi, sorry, yeah, I was late. I was in a training today.
All good. Can you just introduce yourself and your affiliation, please?
Yep, Ashley Bergen, PSAP Director for Carroll County, Maryland, and I'm representing Nina on this.
Yay, the National Emergency Numbers Association. All right, so with all of that stipulation, so I'm not going to repeat the changes, but with the stipulation that we're all going to get one more bite at the apple, that not later than Friday afternoon, reasonable time, Arnold Agile will send out I'm going to say pre-final watermark so nobody gets confused by looking at the wrong version, okay? So let's change the watermark, Arnold, but it's not final until it's final. So pre-final or something like that. We're all going to approve it. We're going to look at it either over the weekend or on Monday. By Monday, close of business, whatever close of business is for you. If it's midnight, that's fine. But Tuesday morning, Arnold will have compiled the votes. We'll have it final or any last tweaks and then get ready. Arnold, you want to put Tuesday's date on or Wednesday? You want to give yourself an extra day, Wednesday, a week from today?
Sure.
Okay, a week from today, November 19th will be the date of the letter and the report, and that's when it will be sent to the governor. I also want to repeat that the letter on LEOPS, the Law Enforcement Officers Pension System, that's going to be dated tomorrow, and that will go in snail mail and email, so we're not waiting for the report to get that out. Anything else that I'm leaving out? If not, I'd love a motion.
Motion to adjourn.
No, 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 no. Motion to approve. I'm looking to
What?
approve the report.
Oh, I thought, okay.
This is the pre-final, and then everyone will just be doing their own after they see with all the tweaks. They'll be doing it by email, but I want it on the record that we have otherwise approved the report with these changes. And I'm happy to read the changes again if anyone would like that. Anyone want me to do that? I'm happy to do it.
I think we have it.
Okay, if we have it, then I would love a motion.
Okay. I make the motion that we actually, on the premises of everything you just said about the date, and we getting the final copy rewrite from today's discussion on Friday. And then by Monday, we all take a vote via email.
Thank you, Delegate Riley. Second, I don't see who seconded.
It's Sharif. I seconded it.
Thank you, Sharif Thomas, seconds. Any debate, questions, conversation, concerns? Hearing none, could everyone who is in favor of the great motion that Delegate Riley said with all of the stipulations and the little tweaks that DLS is going to make, say aye.
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 All those opposed, say nay. All those abstaining, say abstain. Okay, so we have a pre-final version of this report, but it is not final. Senator Carrozza, I especially want to give you a shout out because I thought your comments were super helpful. So thank you for your diligence and scrutiny because I think they make the report better. Arnold, bless you. Thank you. You have worked so hard on this.
Arnold.
We have to just do a quick, we love Arnold. He did a great job in all of this. And it's not done yet. He's not off the total hook, but this will be our last gathering. And so I just want to acknowledge each of you, all of you, my colleagues, and every one of you who works in public safety, and our wonderful friends at DLS, the Department of Legislative Services. With that, Senator Carrozza, you know what? Could everybody look into the camera? I want to take if you're willing, I would love to take a screenshot of this fine group. Ashley, if you're able, Cecilia, Major. All right, everybody look. Let's see. Oh, everyone looks so beautiful. All right, awesome. With that, I would love a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Senator Carrozza. Is there a second? Second, Senator Delegate Woods. Thank you all. Enjoy the rest of the day and look for your email inbox on Friday afternoon.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Take care. Great work.
Great job, everybody.
Bye.